said, their willingness to go to the air a bit more when it wasn't working. Cam Roigard had an outstanding game in terms of his game management. I think we've seen plenty of freakish stuff by Cam Roigard in terms of his ability to kind of get on the last pass to score tries, to snipe around the breakdown. But it was his game management on Saturday that really stood him out from the rest, I thought. The best scrum halves in the world, like Antoine Dupont, Jameson Gibson-Park, Maxime Luku, to name a few, they have this ability to really control the game. And these guys are probably the more dominant game controllers of the 9 and the 10, which is sort of becoming a theme in the modern era, and Cam Roigard is starting to develop into that player as well. There was one situation, I think All Blacks had a scrum on their 5-meter line, I think shortly before half-time in the 36th minute. They were under pressure. Artie got off the back quite well, and they fed to Tapia, and Roigard from his 5-meter line put in a box kick and landed the ball into touch 45 meters away from the try line. It was just outstanding, the way he was able to control it with the boot, and also the short box kicks that made the contestables possible. I think this was a landmark performance for Cam Roigard. Brilliant by the number 9.
Yeah, he hasn't had many shots at the Springboks before, and there was that first play where even Smith was offside, and I think he probably got away with one there a little bit, just as far as it was a shot across the bow, but he still found his range pretty well with the box kick, and getting that exit is so pivotal. You can't be just getting it to the 22. You need to be clearing into the middle of the field, and to find it between the 10s is the ultimate goal. If you can land it between the 10s either side of halfway, then you're in a much better position on your exit than if you're just outside your 22, which is where a lot of teams like to attack, and that's where a lot of their threats come from. So he's done a really good job around that. His game management is exceptional. You're spot on that the modern game these days is more game managed from the 9, and their ability to make decisive decisions from the base of the breakdown and make the right choice. He made the right choice on so many different occasions, and it was that ability probably over Grant Williams, and the same with Ruben Love and Sasha as well. That game management from 9-10 was ultimately part of why New Zealand had better capitalisation of their opportunities than the Springboks did, because obviously Sasha's conversion and ability to take opportunities, decision making on Saturday was probably a little bit below what he would expect. So I thought the game management between those two, Roigard in particular, really, really positive for the All Blacks.
No, absolutely, and it was the passing decisions as well. I think we've touched on previously their ability to go to the blind side and catch defenses off guard has been something we've seen a fair bit of them, but they really went for it on Saturday. Right from the first line out, there was a hit up midfield by Geordie Barrett, and Roigard went straight back to the blind side to Tupou Vai, and it was a theme of the first half, first 20 minutes in particular. After that, they did change it up a bit, but the first 20 minutes, they really looked to go to the blind side, and that was where we saw Josh Morby's try. First 2 carries off the line out, Geordie Barrett kind of came in a little bit shallower, so Peter Steph de Soit wasn't quite expecting the ball to come to him, so he was able to get over that gain line, and then another ball out around the corner to Fabian Holland. And if you watch really closely there, Roigard shapes to go to the blind side. Geordie Barrett's actually just getting up, just standing up. And I think you've got Paul de Villiers, Peter Steph de Toit hanging there on that blind side, and they're not expecting at all the ball to come back that way. And Grant Williams is hanging there on the wing, and you can see he's kind of in no man's land, really. And then when Geordie Barrett gets the ball, he goes straight to Tupou Vai, and there's all that space down the blind side, and they caught them short. We'll show something on the screen here. France did a similar move in the autumn. It was only one phase, but it was a long phase in midfield. Fiku hits up the ball here, and you can see the defense coming around the corner, and Nolan LeGarrick here fizzes the ball really hard back to the blind side, and they get the ball off the pod to Ramos, who feeds BLBRA down the wing. And you can see it's because South Africa shoot up from out to in. They know that if they can attract defenders and like stand deep and attract defenders, you're going to get a lot of space on the edge. And the All Blacks were able to really do that very well, especially in the first 20 minutes on Saturday.
Yeah, I think that was a very clear ploy from the All Blacks, was to try and isolate Grant Williams on the wing and make sure they got the right people on the edges to be able to capitalise on that. Will Jordan's try came from, they obviously played around the corner a couple of times to create the blind side, but Roigard kind of held the ball in the base of the breakdown there, waited for Grant Williams to jump, meaning that he would have to then go back to the line in order to not be offside, and then release the ball to Jordan, which gave him ultimately that split second to get the momentum and crash over for the try.